Hey guys, so I did a Div 2 contest and we did pretty well. I actually got first place in this contest, but I only beat second place by a point difference of 4,246,257 points. That's a bit of a step down from the performances my friend Kevin has gone in his recent Codeforces rounds, actually sweeping the next highest participant by a whopping 4.25 million points. But hey, what can you do when you're trying to compare Codeforces performances to an actual coding god? It's not really comparable. So I think it's a little understandable. Just pat myself in the back of, only doing slightly worse to no god. So, to be honest, part of the reason for this relatively upsetting performance was that I actually had school today. Although I was not able to pay too much attention in my first period, actually I was able to not really pay attention in my first period. I mean, I don't really pay attention there because let's be honest here. We're having project presentations, and why would I listen to the boring project this idiot group is making called Gamulo, which is supposed to, what is this software? What is Gamulo? But although I could really not pay attention to my first period, I really had to pay attention to my second period because I actually had to test that period. So because of that test, I actually had to divert my attention away from this round 425 for 425 seconds and 2003 milliseconds, which was actually the exact amount of time I would have needed to actually finish the Z2 problem. But I was only missing a little bit because I just need a little more time to just do a C out statement. That was just it. This is just a bit unfortunate, but such is life, and honestly, it sucks to suck. So, before I begin, I should have an important announcement to make. So, today's my birthday. Sorry, that's not that important. This video is sponsored by Tabula, a virtual whiteboard app that facilitates virtual teaching while trying to explain a Codeforces problem to a friend, a very relatable event. Have you ever wished that you had a drawing pad with you so you wouldn't be stuck drawing with your mouse? Well, Tabula is just what you need, since it enables you to link your phone to your computer, letting you use your phone or any other mobile device like an iPad as a drawing tablet. If you go to https://register/today-is-a-very-special-birthday, you will get 425% off your first annual subscription for Tabula Premium. And as an added bonus, I'll let you into my Clash of Clans clan called GX Team and personally donate you Town Hall 9 maxed out level giants. Now this is a very special treat because I don't really donate to that many people, especially my giants, because they're really precious to me. So this is just all the bundle. Let's get back to the video. So this contest was actually kind of long. It actually had 27 problems. It actually went all the way to a Z2. And if I decided to explain how I solved all of these problems, in between A and Z1, this video would literally take longer than the amount of time it takes for Kevin Zhu to learn stars and bars all by himself. So in the interest of time, I'll be showing off the hardest problem I solved, which is the Z1 problem right over here. So this is a problem that we're working on. It's called Colin Galen's birthday game. And the problem reads, it's one more school day now. Colin doesn't like classes and is always bored at them. So each day he invents some games and plays it alone or with Kevin. And today he invented one simple game to play with Kevin, with whom he shares a desk and always eats together during lunch. The rules are simple. Colin places n cakes in a row. From Colin's infinitely large plastic bag filled with deliciously juicy and sweet grapes his mother always seems to have an infinite supply from an unnamed Korean store, Colin and Kevin take turns placing grapes on the cakes until all the cakes have a grape on them. By the pigeonhole principle, since there are a finite number of cakes and an infinite number of grapes, this game will definitely end. After that, each player takes turns placing exactly K grapes from left or right cakes in each turn. Colin moves first because he is the inventor of the game. If there are less than K cakes left on the paper before some turn, the game ends. Colin wins if he makes strictly more moves than Kevin. Colin wants to know the results of the game before playing, and you are here to help him. So the inputs is really simple. It's just two integers, n and k. The number n is the number of cakes baked by Colin, and k is the number of grapes that will be put on the cakes each turn. If Colin wins a game, print yes, and otherwise print no, and you can print each letter uppercase. So basically, this is how it works. So as you can see, 1, 1. So let me just write it out. So let's say there's one cake here and one cake here, and you go ahead. So let's say n is so n is 2. Let's say k is 1. So Colin places a grape here, then Kevin places a grape here, and both players took exactly one turn, right? And that's just a tie. So the answer is no. Colin does not win in this situation. But let's say instead we have n equals, let's say n equals 3, and let's say that k equals 2. Colin goes first. He puts down 2 grapes here, and now Kevin has to go. But there isn't enough spaces left to put down 2 grapes. So Kevin just can't make a move. So now Colin wins because Colin made 1 move and Kevin made 0 moves. So if you guys are starting to understand the problem, I think the solution starts making a lot of sense. So essentially, let's say that you have 5 cakes and Colin goes first, puts 2 grapes, Kevin goes, puts 2 grapes, and then now it's a tie because there's an even amount. But let's say that we were to put in an additional cake right over here, and now Colin puts down 2 grapes. Well, now Colin made 2 moves and Kevin made 1 move, so now Colin wins. And if we put in another grape here, another cake here, it wouldn't matter because Colin still wins because Kevin doesn't have enough cakes to make a move. So the way you solve this problem is actually you need to realize a couple really big brain things. So these are things that obviously you need a legendary grandmaster to understand, and preferably top 250 in the world, but you know what, you can maybe slide by being top 300. But anything under that, honestly, the Z1 problem might just be a little too hard for you. But anyways, the way you realize is that there are n cakes and there are k moves, right? So what you can do actually is you can do this thing called division. It's actually like a really fancy C++ function, which is incredibly hard to master. You guys have to like look up the documentation. It's really specific to C++. If you're using trash languages like Rust or Java or Python, then unfortunately, I don't think division is within part of the documentation, and you'll just have to look up Stack Overflow, Stack Overflow to figure it out. But anyways, basically what you do is you do this thing called n divided by k, okay? And you want to see if that value is odd, right? So there's 6 cakes and 2 moves, 2 grapes per move. Then we saw that Colin wins, right? Because 6 divided by 2 is 3, which is odd. So to figure out something odd, you just simply do mod 2 and you check if it's 1, right? But of course, it's a little more complicated than this because like, what if there's, remember the other case, like say there's like 7 cakes, right? Like 7 divided by 2, well, that's not an integer. So what you have to do is this other really advanced function, and it's actually called the floor function. So what the floor function does is actually rounds down. So like 7 divided by 2 is 3.5 in decimal form. It rounds it down to 3, which is phenomenal because that's fine. Because what happens when it's 7 divided by 2? That means it's left with a remainder of like 1 over 2. That's great. Because you want the floor function, because if there's only 1 cake left and you can only put down 2 grapes, you have to put down at least 2 grapes, then that last turn is just null. So if that makes sense, basically just do the floor because you don't want to count the last turn anyways, because you can't, because that's not even a valid turn. So basically, this turns into 3, which is great. Basically, that says that there are 3 turns being made. And because Colin is a jackass and he rigs games in his favor when he plays it with Kevin, we always know that Colin wins in these cases because Colin goes first, then Kevin, then Colin again, which means that Colin wins. So it's a yes. So that's the code right here. Essentially, you input n. So it's actually, yeah, so basically, let me go put out the code here. So essentially you input n, and then nk, and then you do floor n divided by k, and then you, oops, this is going a little too far, and then you mod that by 2, and then if that is equal to, if that's equal to 1, then go ahead and, so if that's equal to 1, then that's odd, so then you print yes in all caps. Otherwise you print no. And let me go ahead and erase this actually, because that was a little boop. Okay, and yeah, it's just like that. By the way, if you guys are wondering, I'm actually using the sponsored product Tabula when I'm demoing this problem, and I'm on my phone. You know, I'm using my phone as a drawing pad right over here, so I'm not really moving my mouse. So this is how you go and solve the problem. Let me go and show you guys the code I actually used to solve it. So this is the code I did to win the Codeforces contest. So you import the Codeforces API from Codeforces. You import SQL injection from Kevin Higgs. Very reliable place to import functions that you don't understand, especially if it's a little related to cybersecurity. I'm going and creating a win Codeforces function here. I'm using fancy arrow functions, and I'm going to have and create a payload. So I'm going to go call the payload Kevin points SQL injection. Oh, oops, sorry. There we go. My bad. That was actually the wrong file. Here is the right file that I actually used to submit the Z1 problem. So as you guys can see here, first, second, I go ahead and import. So I sin. It's sin, guys. It's not cn. It's sin. I sin first, and then I sin second, and then I do, this is just mod basically, but it's fmod, fancy C++ random thing, because I can't mod multiple things for some reason. And I just do the floor first divided by second. I mod with 2, and if it's equal to 1, see out yes, otherwise see out no. So as you can see, this was a pretty complicating function, and it's as expected for a Z problem. You know, it's relatively difficult, at least compared to the Y problem, but not quite as difficult as the Z2 problem. And I went and solved this, which actually put me way above the second place, because the second place actually was not able to figure the solution out, because it was a difficult problem. It's very understandable. And so yeah, so with this being here, let me go ahead and check out. Here, if you guys are wondering, here are the standings. As you can see, I won here. I had a wonderful pointing of 252,003. So it's 425,2003 points. And I did the math, so you know, I was just slightly under 4.5 or 4.25 million above the second place guy. Let's go and check out my projected rating after this contest. So it was a slightly, it was pretty bad. So, you know, obviously it goes down a little bit. Oh, wait a minute. My bad. This is actually the GameStop stock that I actually decided to invest in, that I'm looking at. Oops, I think my rating's on the other page. You know, let's just analyze this a little more. You know, I was just looking at this. I was just thinking. Back in my Minecraft world, I did it with Kevin. Actually, I was never able to finish my coal house, and that server got disbanded. So maybe that'll just never be finished. But you know what? Maybe I can finally finish it, because a lot of investors, they just took their money, like $100 bills, and they put them into GameStop, and essentially they put it in a furnace, because all that money got burned. You know, just straight up burned. And we know what happens when you burn wood, you know, paper, money, wood, same thing. They're all made of wood. You know what happens when you burn wood, right? In a furnace, you get charcoal. So I could just take all the charcoal created by all those investors burning all their money, and I can make charcoal blocks and finish up my house. Oh, wait a minute. There is no charcoal blocks. There's only coal blocks. You know what? Honestly, I think Minecraft will release charcoal blocks. I'm calling it right now. Currently, Minecraft's at version, 1.9? Because let's be real here. Anything after 1.9 is just a joke, because they disabled, mouse clicking. After 1.9, obviously, they're going to release a Minecraft 2.0, right? Because, the next thing after 1.9 is 2.0, they wouldn't be so stupid and just call it like 1.10 because that's like 1.1, you know? Like, it's not how decimals work. Anyways, Minecraft 2.0, it's gonna be huge changes. They're gonna be huge, like absolutely huge. And we're gonna have charcoal blocks. Anyways, this is my rating graph. So yeah, as you can see, it's projected to go down. That was a pretty sorry performance. And honestly, you know what? This contest wasn't really that balanced. So I'm not really that angry that I didn't do quite as well as I could have done, because I literally forgot to go to bed 12:30 a.m. at night before this contest. So I was disadvantaged because I had pretty bad sleep. And that's it for me. And goodbye. Hope you guys enjoyed today's tutorial on the round 425 on this very special day.